So today on Perfectly Parker, we're going to talk about the question I get asked the most when I meet new people and they find out Parker has autism. And that is, how did you know? What led up to her getting diagnosed? And there was no one specific thing. There was, things that led up to this, that led up to this, that ultimately led up to her getting diagnosed. So I'm going to try to condense it as much as I can without making this video 3 years long. But developmentally wise, Parker hit all her milestones when she was supposed to. She sat up when she was supposed to. She crawled when she was supposed to. She did everything the way she was supposed to, when she was supposed to do it. So around 15 months, she started daycare, and I started a new job that required me to be around children her age more. So 2 weeks after her starting daycare, her teacher came to me and said, Parker is not speaking and I'm getting a little concerned. And is she talking at home? And I told her, I said, oh yeah, she talks all the time at home, which she was to us, but it was like she was speaking in a foreign language. It would be jumbled up, but for the most part, we knew what she wanted. We were her parents. And she would sing clearly and she would count numbers clearly. And I mean, she has always sung up until this day. I remember when she was around the same time, she woke up probably around 3 a.m. in the morning singing Twinkle Little Star. I mean, just screaming to the top of her lungs, not crying, but happy. And anytime she would wake up through the night, she was singing. Even to this day, she doesn't do it as much, but if she wakes up in the morning before me and my husband, we know because she's singing something. It may not be Twinkle Little Star, maybe Who Let the Dogs Out or Bruno Mars, but she still sings. So to us, she was talking. So I told her, I said, no, no concerns there. Well, about a month after that, Parker had a febrile seizure. My husband called me at work. I was working at my part-time job, and he called me and he said that, he was rushing Parker to the emergency room because she had a seizure. And we got there and they said she had a bilateral ear infection that was pretty bad. And we felt bad because she had been showing no symptoms at all. So after that, the ear infections kept coming, just back to back to back. It was just getting outrageous. And it didn't take me long after I started working around children her age to see exactly what her teacher was talking about. So I brought it up to her pediatrician. We went back for another ear infection. I said, is it possible that we can maybe see an ENT because these ear infections are getting out of control? She's not speaking the way she's supposed to, and multiple ear infections, and I'm concerned. And she told me, she said, well, if she has another ear infection, we'll definitely send her to an ENT. But I do want you to try two things. I want you to try to read to her more than what you're doing. I know you say you're reading to her, but try to ump it up a little bit. And I want you to require her to say things. And when I say require, I mean, if she wants a cookie, tell her to say cookie. If she wants juice, tell her to say juice, etc. Which wasn't a problem, and we did it, but it was when you told Parker to say cookie, like you can say, Parker, say cookie. She would say, Parker, say cookie, or say juice, and she would say juice. So she was repeating verbatim what we were saying like a parrot, and she would also do a lot of scripting, like out of books. Like her favorite book was Green Eggs and Ham, and one time the electricity went out because the weather was pretty bad, and she quoted a line from out the Green Eggs and Ham book, say in the dark, here in the dark. So a lot of her communication was scripting or songs or verbatim what we would say. And so I knew this still wasn't, the way she should be speaking. So I brought it up to her pediatrician again, and I said, she's still not speaking the way we think she should be speaking. And she had another ear infection. So she referred us to an ENT, and we took her there, and then the ENT told us that she was basically deaf in her left ear because she had so much fluid built up in there. She had fluid in her right ear, but a lot of fluid in her left ear. So she wanted to place ear tubes. And we agreed because we wanted something to give. We felt like she should be speaking more than what she should have been. So I left that appointment and I called her pediatrician and I said, Parker's going to have ear tubes placed, and right after that I want to start speech therapy. And I want to be referred to Early Steps. Early Steps is an early intervention program in Louisiana that's federally mandated through the Individuals with Disability Education Act. And I had learned about it from the job that I was working at. So I told her I wanted to be referred to those two things. And she told me, she said, well, that's fine. I don't mind doing it, but I really think after she gets the tubes placed, I feel like she's going to make so much progress that I don't think it's going to be warranted. And I told her, I said, yeah, that may be true, but I mean, speech is non-invasive. Early Steps is non-invasive. If anything, it'll just help her. It won't hurt her. So I'm all for non-invasive things if it's going to help. So she sent in a referral to Early Steps, sent in a referral to speech, which our insurance told us that they would not be paying. They couldn't pay unless it was something congenital like cleft lip palate, something like that. So we started speech therapy 3 times a week, and we started Early Steps twice a week. So doing speech therapy, got the ear tubes. Okay, everything's going good. She's still having ear infections. You know, we had another ear infection right after, a couple months after her first ear tubes were placed. So we kind of chucked it up to, okay, maybe this is one. So, and she had another febrile seizure after this. So took her back to the ENT, and she said that she was still retaining fluid in her ears. So we got another set of ear tubes. Now around this time, my husband had to take Parker to therapy because I had to work that day. And when he came back, he gave me a paper and he said that they said Parker has sensory processing disorder. And that is where the brain doesn't respond appropriately to the senses. And that probably would explain why she wasn't showing any signs with the ear infections, because sometimes they under or overreact certain things to certain stimuli. And I said, okay, well, we know, that's great. We have a plan, we can form a plan, we know what we need to do. And he said, they also told me to tell you she does not have autism. And I was like, autism? Who said anything about autism? Now looking back at it, I'm sure they said that because they knew when they sent that paper home, I was going to do exactly what I did, and that was dive into it to see exactly what I need to do for sensory processing disorder, what it was, and just really get educated in the matter. And when I looked it up, it said that a lot of children with autism spectrum disorder has sensory processing disorder. So I can definitely see why they said that, but they told him to tell me that they are positive it is not autism. So, you know, I said, great. And then they also said that they wanted to do OT. Now, we had been doing OT already because when she got evaluated for speech, but I want to say it was like once a week. It wasn't anything major because they saw some coordination balance off, and they said it was probably because of the fluid being in her ears previously. Well, now, you know, we want to ump the ante on the OT. So we're doing OT 3 times a week, speech 3 times a week, Early Steps 2 times a week. So it was definitely getting a little hectic. So around this time, Parker's pediatrician that she had since birth moved back to California. So I set up an appointment with this new pediatrician that I heard about. And we went there, and it was a pretty rough experience because even to this day, Parker has severe anxiety when it comes to anything that looks like doctors, doctor's offices, anything to do with anything of that. She just really just freaks out because she's terrified from all the ER visits, all the ear tubes, everything. She's just terrified. So we got there. And Parker was just screaming, and she was just fighting, and she was biting, and it was a rough experience. It really was. And her pediatrician asked me, you know, is she receiving speech therapy, OT, and everything? And I told her yes. And she told me about a speech pathology program at the local university where their students actually did speech therapy and OT Monday through Friday. And it was only $10 a week. And she asked me, did I want her to call it in? And I said, that would be great, because by this point, the therapies are killing us. I mean, it's a lot. So she said, well, don't worry about it. I'm going to call it in for you. I'm going to get it situated and they'll call you. So about a week afterwards, they did. Speech called me first and we got Parker evaluated and they agreed she did need speech. And a month after that, I received another call from a very nice man named Dr. Irwin. And he called me and he said, Mrs. Hicks, well, I'm looking for the mother of Parker Hicks. This is Mrs. Hicks. And I said, yes. And he said, my name is Dr. Irvin from the ULM Autism Clinic. And that blindsided me big time. It definitely caught me off guard, because when she asked about a referral, she said nothing about sending for a referral for autism. So I was definitely taken aback, because I was like, autism? Because the only time we had heard autism in reference to Parker was a year ago, when they assured us that she didn't have it. So he said, well, do you want to come in? Or I thought your pediatrician told you. And I said, okay, that's fine. But I definitely was taken aback. So I remember I was pulling up to the house and I got to looking on my phone and looking up, signs of autism, et cetera, et cetera. And the first thought I had was, well, Parker's not doing any of these things. She's not, banging her head and stuff like that. Well, the thing to know about autism, and I'll preach it in probably all of my videos, is a spectrum disorder. Spectrum means it can be very mild to very moderate to in between. There are no children alike. If you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism. And you'll probably hear me say that I don't know how many times. But of course, when you Google things, it pulls up the worst case scenario of anything. So I quickly put it out of my mind. I said, well, I just don't believe Parker has autism. And then I started asking other people that I knew, family, friends, etc. And they knew just as much as me. My ex-teachers and everybody said, oh, I don't think Parker has autism. I don't think Parker has autism. So we went to the appointment a couple months later. It was like 5 months later. And it took us a good 3 to 4 appointments before we can actually get all the information, because like I told you, Parker has severe anxiety when it comes to anything healthcare related. And they had to interview me and my husband. They had to interview Parker. So it was a lengthy process. So about a month after we got evaluated, I had still not heard anything, and I was getting a little concerned, and I just couldn't take it anymore because I wanted to know. So I called, and he said that one of the OTs that helped evaluate Parker was out because she had broke her leg, and as soon as she comes in, we'll call you in and we'll go over the results. Well, I kind of made up my mind at this point that they're going to say Parker has autism, because in my head I felt like if she didn't, they would just say, oh no, she doesn't have autism, and be through with it. But so I kind of told myself they're probably going to say she has autism. So 2 months afterwards, we went in, and before we went in, I remember telling my husband, I said, they're probably going to say Parker has autism, but it won't change anything. I don't think she has autism, blah, blah, blah. So we went in and he went over everything, and he was so thorough. I'm so thankful for him. He explained so much. He really did. He went into detail about every little thing. It was like we were literally reading our daughter off a paper, some of the symptoms he was going over. He went over what test he used. He went over why she repeats things verbatim in scripting. He said it's called echolalia. A lot of children with autism do it. And he went into all that. And he said, your daughter has moderate level 2 autism spectrum disorder. And this kind of stumped me because I'm thinking if she does say if he does say that she has autism, then he'll probably say mild is what I was thinking. So I'm thinking in my head, moderate. And then he said, and this is what stuck with me the most. And he said, Mr. and Mrs. Hicks, I'm going to be very honest with you. If you don't listen to anything else, I need you to listen to this. Parker does have autism. She does. Parker will not wake up one day and not have autism. She will not outgrow autism. This will stick with her for the rest of her life. With therapy, she'll definitely be functional. So definitely continue what you guys are doing now because you're on the right path. But this is a lifelong disorder. You will need to be experts in the field of autism. The people who are around Parker will need to be familiar with autism. You will need to advocate for your child all the time because even though we've come so far, we definitely have a ways to go in the world of autism. There are tons of resources out there. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's definitely doable with the resources that you have at your fingertips. And I think that definitely stuck with me the most because he caught my attention because I was like, you know, and then he said, do you have any questions? And I said, no. And I think because I was in shock because usually I have 1,000 questions, you know, coming at you left and right. And so he said, well, if you have any questions, please call me. He said, this information is yours to do with it as you please. You can tell, you cannot tell, and that is okay. It's up to you. So we left out and me and my husband were sitting in the car, and then I turned to him and I said, but moderate though? And he said, I know, right? Definitely wasn't expecting that. And we were definitely probably in the denial phase because looking back at it, everything that he said was on point. And knowing what I know now, I 100% agree with his diagnosis. So saying it the way he said it definitely put me into more research mode. I'll say it like that. And I'm happy he said it like that. I'm happy he was very blunt with me. I'm happy that the pediatrician sent the referral in. I'm definitely not thrilled about how she did it, but I am happy that she did it. And if I don't want you to take anything from this video, I want you to speak up. If you feel like there's something wrong or you disagree, it's okay to disagree respectfully. And it's okay to get a second opinion. That is perfectly okay. The worst they can do is tell you the same thing your pediatrician told you. Nothing wrong. But that is okay. And if you feel like your child may have a disability, that is okay too. When you find out what's going on, you can better treat your child. And because I've had people tell me that. I've had people tell me, well, I've suspected that my child may have had autism, but I don't want them labeled. I don't want that to stick with them for the rest of their lives. And yeah, she's labeled with autism. She is. But it's nothing for her to be ashamed about. It's nothing for me and my husband to be ashamed about. It is what it is. Parker has autism. And we can talk about it. We can spread the word, break down barriers. And that's what I love about talking about it. And I love talking to other parents because I find out so much information. So if you definitely feel like there's something wrong, don't ignore it. Definitely go ahead and get it checked out. And I can't stress enough early intervention. Early intervention is key. The earlier you do these therapies, the better. I think about all the time, if we hadn't started Parker, her therapies as early as we did, I don't know where she would be, and I'm grateful for it. She's been in some form of therapy since she was 2 and she's almost 6, and it has definitely helped. So yeah, super excited. This is my first video, first of many. I have so much to share with you guys. I'm so excited to take you along this journey as Parker progresses and she does things and milestones because I love talking about autism. I really do. And I'm super excited. So please go ahead and like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.